And now, the Cook Report.
On goes the moustache, then the beard. Tonight, in disguise as an Arab sheikh, to expose those who deal illegally in rare birds of prey. And for the first time ever, a thief is caught on film, robbing the nest of a peregrine falcon. Could you tell us how you came to be stealing peregrine eggs? Baby peregrine falcon, being supplied by you.
Baby.
We'll give you these.
Oh, hello.
Oh, poor thing.
Definitely wild.
Yeah.
White seer. Bluey white
This
seer.
is a peregrine falcon chick, stolen from its nest.
Did he say whether it was he that had taken them or
No,
somebody else
he didn't say he had taken. He said he had seen them in the area earlier on.
Evidence of an organised and vastly profitable trade in endangered birds of prey.
I cannot imagine anybody wanting to take a British peregrine for a British market at today's prices. The whole thing seems totally pointless. All I can imagine, therefore, is that nearly every peregrine taken from the wild is for an illegal export.
to who?
Can only be the Arabs.
It's the demand from the Middle East that fuels the market. Hunting with falcons is the sport of sheikhs. In this case, the prey is a local bird called the hubara. Falcons can be bred in captivity, but many Arabs still believe wild birds have superior speed and killing power. And Scotland, for those who want illegal wild birds of prey, is the source for some of the most highly prized, the peregrine falcons. This bird is officially considered to be as endangered as the elephant and the panda, and as we'll show tonight, the pressure is still on.
Why are the culprits so difficult to catch?
Well, part of the problem is because they claim birds taken from the wild are bred in captivity. You see, it's very easy for you to have a shed in the bottom of your garden with a male and a female peregrine falcon and claim that they've laid eggs, when in reality, often these eggs come from the wild.
Indeed they do, and with the help of Andy Jones, we mounted a 24-hour watch on one particular nest. Every year for 10 years, peregrines have nested here. And it's because every year for 10 years this nest has been robbed that we set up camp and cameras and waited.
The person who's going to do the climbing for a start is motivated by profit, by greed. But that's not where the real profits are. He's just a functionary. He's just doing the job for someone else. So the eggs or the chicks are taken. The young birds are then passed into the system. There are a variety of middlemen, people perhaps in this country, or even in France, Belgium, Germany, who will be arranging for these birds to be taken out to Germany and then perhaps onto the Middle East.
Where the right falcon can easily be worth £15,000.
Okay, Debbie.
Falconer Chris Neal volunteered to help us track down the minority of falconers in Britain and Europe who are breaking the law and dealing in wild birds.
I think falconry needs a bit of cleaning up. I'm doing this because I believe in that these birds should not be stolen from the wild for gain. Egg stealers and chick stealers should be sorted out. Come on, squirrel! Come on, we're this way.
Falconry in Britain has a growing following.
There you are, that's a little squawk. Good little chap.
The exploitation of the falcons themselves is supposed to be controlled by a system of ringing. Only captive-bred birds can legitimately be ringed, and the ring is put on within days of hatching under the supervision of the Department of the Environment. But the system, as we'll show tonight, is easily abused. We set off first to Germany, to the biggest falcon centre in Europe, where Chris Neal had been told the owner could make wild-caught Scottish peregrines, what he calls passage birds, available. Behind 15-foot security fences, Harold Cuspert took us to see his young peregrine falcons, but a few of the thousands of birds of prey he keeps on site, all, he claims, captive-bred. Cuspert readily admits that the best of his birds go to the Middle East. So it was natural for Chris Neal to pose as a buyer on behalf of an Arab royal family. Cuspert was keen to meet them, so we hired an actor. And our fake sheikh, buying for his big brother, repeatedly insisted that he was only interested in wild peregrine falcons from Scotland. Then Cuspert faxed this confirmation.
I know exactly what kind of falcons are necessary for Arabian falconry, and assure His Excellency that he will get what he needs.
At the Scottish nest, robbed 10 times in 10 years, the watch was well underway.
They really are magnificent birds, aren't they?
Fantastic birds, and that's one of the reasons why there's so much in demand. I mean, even in the 10 days or so that we've been here, we've heard of sites that have been robbed in Cumbria, one just down the road now in Dumfries and Galloway. I know that when I get back to the office, and I hear about sites which have been robbed from all over the country, Wales, southwest England, northern England. It's very sad, very disheartening for nature conservation.
Something fairly odd going up there, Andy. There's another bird, another male, I think, buzzing the nest.
Yes, it's an intruder male trying to sort of muscle in on the action. Obviously wants to breed with the female that's already established there.
But then came the cry heralding a human threat. A man who had no right to be there. We know he's called Andrew MacDonald, and he's breaking the law by disturbing the falcons, let alone handling their eggs. However, he does leave empty-handed. By now, from Germany, the dealer had sent a personalized sales video to our fake sheikh.
Your Royal Highness, I'm happy to present you a Scottish female, about now 1 kilo, 990 grams. You will get this type of quality.
Herr Cuspert. A moment, bitte. My name's Roger Cook from Central Television in Britain. Do you remember dealing with Sheikh Al Noman?
Dealing?
You offered
He was trading. He was visiting my center.
and you offered to sell him 20 passage birds. So where would these birds have come from? You have been dealing with, or at least benefiting from, the theft of illegal birds.
We have no stolen birds.
That's as may be, but he certainly has had. Indeed, he was convicted in 1990 for possessing and transporting illegal peregrine falcons.
Maybe, but if you come, if some...
Our fake sheikh's main meeting had been with Cuspert's sometime Mr. Fix-It, a convicted Belgian bird dealer called Michel Martello.
Come here next to me.
Yeah,
He said he could deliver wild peregrine chicks from Scotland, but he was a little worried.
The thing is, you see, I don't want to talk over that on the telephone. That's why I prefer to come.
Yes.
Because it's too dangerous.
That's right.
Because I have to be very careful. Because I like staying here, and if I'm caught with illegal birds, they're gonna hang me.
That is it.
They're gonna hang me. They're gonna shoot me first.
Nevertheless, he took the chance and met us 2 weeks later in a supermarket car park in the Midlands with 2 young peregrine falcons in cardboard boxes. Our experts had no doubt they were wild.
Let's have a look at its legs.
Now this one, oh,
Yeah, and that ring looks like it could have been forced on, I'm not sure.
well, maybe, but we're
Yeah.
able to find out who that ring was issued to.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
it's quite important.
Yes, it is, yeah.
But he assured you it's a wild bird?
Sure, it came from a wild Scottish Irish.
But there was a mystery. Both birds, though wild, were ringed as if captive bred.
Try and nip it. That's what I usually try and do. Good at that.
The first chick was 3 weeks out of the nest, young enough to be returned to a nest.
Right.
At the vet's, its ring was removed as evidence.
Hold the leg. Okay, I'll have to nip away at it. There's numbers on the ring. We don't want to cut the numbers at all. Okay. In our opinion, it was taken from the wild and legitimised legally by having a government ring put on it.
To have those rings fitted, you have to persuade the DOE that the birds are captive bred. We now know that falconer Kenneth Smith ringed and sold 2 peregrines Martello sold on to us.
And it comes from this business.
He rang Chris Neal to say he was the source of the birds and later demanded the rings back.
The reason I'm holding its beak is that it's doing its, if I let it go, it will do its best to bite my hand.
The second bird he sold us was in a very poor state and is unfit to be returned to the wild for some months yet. Blood samples were taken from both birds to check Ken Smith's further claim that he'd bred the birds from the same parents, and the samples were sent for DNA testing. Was falconer Kenneth Smith telling the DOE the truth when the birds were ringed? Cries of alarm in Scotland. "14 days after we started watching the Scottish nest, the thief arrived. It's a perilous business. One man has already died approaching a peregrine's nest this year. The thief's timing is perfect. 2 weeks after laying, the chicks inside the eggs are viable and safe, though illegal, to move. Under his shirt, he wears a specially made pouch with individual pockets to hold the eggs safely against the warmth of his body. The maximum penalty is a fine of £5,000 per egg. The thief is taking all 4 eggs. He and others have now taken over 40 eggs in 10 years from this nest alone. A theft like this has never before been filmed. We were to identify the thief as Stephen Morrison, unemployed, who has previously been caught with his father stealing eggs. This time, his father, Matthew Morrison, was waiting in his car on the mountain road below. As the thief left, we were on our way to a car park meeting with falconer Ken Smith. Chris Neal wanted to double-check that our chicks, though ringed, were indeed wild.
If the Arab finds out Martello's rooked him, it means that I've rooked him. It means Martello's been fiddled. The order was for wild Scottish peregrines.
Yeah, well, he's got them, actually.
He has got wild Scottish peregrines.
He's got wild Scottish peregrines.
He has.
We just happen to have close rings on here.
They've just got close rings on us.
Fair enough for us. He's definitely got wild Scottish peregrines, but they were close rung when they left me, and they were legal.
So Kenneth Smith admits the birds were wild, and therefore he must have deceived the DOE into ringing them to make them look legal. But were they, as he also claimed, related? The DNA tests were ready. What do these results on the light box here tell you?
We prepared DNA fingerprints from the 2 samples submitted to us. I observed 6 similarities between the 2 fingerprints. Now, that gives us on average, about 27% degree of similarity between the 2 individuals. In a human population, unrelated individuals would share, on average, 25% of bands. So the 2 birds that we've fingerprinted here have about as much chance of being related as you and I do.
Mr. Smith, Roger Cook, Central Television. Yes. I'd like to talk to you about a couple of peregrines that you sold, wild peregrines, to somebody who was working for us.
Captive peregrines?
No, you assured the man, and we have transcript of what you said, that they were wild-caught birds.
Captive bred peregrines.
You were lying then, were you?
To whom?
You were lying to Chris Neal? You're trying to tell us they're captive bred, are you?
Simply, yes.
You bred them yourself?
All my birds are captive bred, yes.
So you lied about them being wild birds, did you?
No, they weren't wild birds. I don't deal in wild birds.
You don't deal in wild birds. You told the DOE that they were related.
They're captive bred birds.
Captive bred birds from the same parents, related, sisters.
Yes.
They're not. We have the DNA test here that says they're not, so you're lying again. That left unanswered the issue of the rings. In the car park meeting with Chris Neal, Smith was desperate to be reassured they'd been removed.
I just want to know if the birds are still around in this country with rings on the legs. That's all I'm bothered about.
He has since assured associates that he's got away with it, because the rings, key evidence against him, had been removed.
Do the birds still exist?
The birds still exist. Do the parents still exist?
With the rings on?
This is one of the peregrines Kenneth Smith sold us. He told us she was wild-caught. He told the DOE she was captive-bred. And he seems to be laboring under the misapprehension that one of the vital pieces of evidence against him is missing. Well, it's not. The DOE ring, which proves that he lied to the DOE, is still there. One of the birds we bought was judged fit to be returned to the wild immediately. The RSPB had found a suitable nest. The nest we were climbing down to had already been robbed of its first clutch of eggs. And only one egg from the second clutch had hatched. This meant that there was a vacancy for a bird of a similar age. One stolen chick, at least, returned to its native mountains. Meanwhile, Martello the Belgian was offering us yet more wild peregrines. In a motorway service station, we confirmed the latest chicks were wild too. The time had nearly come for Martello to meet the fake shake's big brother.
Okay, it's all there. You want to check it?
Well, I'll trust you.
Altogether, we'd handed over £4,000 to a man who is clearly more interested in cash than conservation.
So that if I do a deal,
The fake shake's big brother had arrived. You have 100 falcons and you select the best.
Voilà.
The 20 are how much?
I don't know. All depends all depends how you want them trained. If you want them trained, because you know when we went to your brother to Germany, some have been trained to Spain, some are going to train in Morocco to get already used to the heat.
He boasted that after 20 years of smuggling illegal birds, he could now monopolize the entire supply from major estates in Scotland.
You know, you said to me, okay, I want 20. I give a ring, and I don't shoot them anymore. But they see where they breed, and then you get eggs or whatever.
If we want many birds, will you buy from them or will you have...
No, I do alone straight away from the game. Not someone in between. I don't want to take them. They're just going to tell me under the bridge there. There's 3 eggs there, or 3 young ones.
They will leave them for you?
We never leave them. We just pass there and they just put in, and we put the money under the stone and that's it.
What would happen to you if you were caught?
I don't want to think about it. I don't want to think about it. But I'm clean, you see.
If you get caught, you are in real trouble.
Yeah, but it would be difficult for me to get caught.
You just have been. I am a television journalist, not a sheikh.
Ah.
And you have sold us illegal birds. I'm not a sheikh at all. My name is Roger Cook, and I am a television journalist.
No, but you can check me. No problem. I'm clean.
You have just confessed to breaking the law.
No, well, you check.
You're doing it to camera now. Martello was not alone in falling for the lure of Arab money. The Gulf is where hunting falcons are most prized, and there's no more spectacular hunter than a Scottish peregrine, the fastest of them all. This is the market Martello and others thought they had tapped. These are pictures of you selling birds. What do you think these little creatures are here? They're baby peregrine falcons, aren't they?
Well, it's up to you. What can I say?
They are baby peregrine falcons being supplied by you. That is breaking the law. You have been caught breaking the law, haven't you?
All right, then. So can I not see Mr. Mohammed Van Noomen?
No, he doesn't exist. He was somebody working for us, just as I am working for this particular program. No. So I'm afraid somebody has outwitted you.
Yeah.
And you have shown your true colours.
And what happened to Chris Neal?
Chris Neal was working for us too.
Right. All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Ever vigilant, the RSPB climbed to another Scottish nest believed to have been targeted by thieves. It doesn't take a television program to encourage the thieves. All the birds we acquired had been stolen before we went into this particular black market. This time, the thieves were seeking to trap fully grown falcons.
Look at that, look. Well, it's a homemade trap for catching an adult peregrine falcon. Be placed on the bird's nest, and it's made of chicken wire with nylon loops with running nooses on them. And as you can see, this noose would catch the bird in its foot, pull like that, and the bird's trapped.
The tragedy is that it seems that the falconry people do not self-police, and I cannot imagine why they don't. And in fact, from the falconry people that I've met, if there is any criticism or accusation that skullduggery is afoot, they then tend to sort of close ranks and get furious about it.
Indeed they do, and Chris Neal has been threatened with violence. He was also offered a batch of 14 allegedly wild peregrines. A police raid followed. In these crates, soiled and sorry-looking peregrine chicks await sale by a falconer who should have known better and is now awaiting his day in court. The last piece in our jigsaw was the man who stole the eggs. Mr. Morrison, Roger Cook, Central Television. Could you tell us how you came to be stealing peregrine eggs at Money Ive on the 23rd of April this year? That's a criminal offence.
It's a criminal offence?
It is a criminal offence. That's you, isn't it?
I say so.
That's you?
Aye.
It is, isn't it?
Aye.
So you're stealing peregrine eggs and putting them in your little pouch around your waist here, and that's a criminal offence. What did you do with the eggs when your father picked you up?
What did I do with them? Can't remember.
And I don't suppose you told the job centre how much money you made, did you? How much money did you make selling them?
How much money did I make? £30.
30 pieces of silver to put a rare species at risk and to push it one step closer to the edge of extinction.